name's Melissa Bailey and this is Crash Course Tea History. Today we're going to be discussing how tea affected 80s hairstyles. What? Tea didn't affect 80s hair... Cheyenne! Always making history no fun! Ugh! But tea did affect Britain's becoming an industrial power and changed how Britain influenced other countries like China or India, but we'll talk about that later. Now to the thought bubble. The first cup of tea was created in the Neo-Han Dynasty by Xingneng, but didn't become popular until the 4th century. In China, many hour-long rituals were used similar to those in Japan. In China, water was boiled with dried leaves and flowers. The tea was used for medicine and was an anesthetic. It was a Chinese national beverage in the Tang Dynasty and continued to be consumed for a long-ass time. It's not swearing if you're talking about a donkey. Emperors of China used and accepted tea, unless, of course, you're the Mongols. When the Mongols took over most of Asia, they imposed this new drink called kumos and dismissed tea completely until it was brought back in the Ming Dynasty. Throughout world history, tea was mainly consumed in China. It wasn't until much later that Britain was introduced to tea. The first tea import was from the East Indies in 1669. Tea retail was sporadic and expensive, so it became popular among the elite class. Prices varied around £5, which was a lot considering the average family income of the period was £22. Tea time, similar to a Chinese tea ceremony, was a common time to drink tea. Most elites had tea twice a day. Catherine, I dislike my husband's mistresses, of Braganza, was credited with the introduction of tea to Britain. She had access to trading ports in her dowry and used them to import tea. She also had hair that looked like the Queen of Hearts. But that's getting off topic. The East India Trade Company made tea more available in Britain for everyone to drink. In 1717, Thomas Twining opened a second coffee house next to his own that made ready-made tea available for women. Peasants were also encouraged to drink tea by being given tea breaks, which increased production and helped Britain industrialize due to the caffeine. But Britain still couldn't directly trade with China. Miss Bailey, did it hurt Britain's feelings that they couldn't trade with China? In fact, me from the past, Britain was steaming. What? See what I did there? Cheyenne! That is very warm! In 1784, Britain defeated the Dutch, dissolving the East India Trade Company. This gave Britain total control over East India trade, which made tea a lot cheaper for Britain, and lessened the need to add fillers to the tea like sheep dung. In other words, there was less crap in the tea. The East India Trade Company controlled trade, but still could not directly trade with China because they didn't want to trade with Europe, and why would you when you're China and you're awesome? Or as Lin Zexu would say in his letter to Queen Victoria,
imported goods from foreign countries are merely playthings.
Britain had to pay Chinese with silver, which was difficult because prices were rising. With silver running low, they started to smuggle opium and trade that for tea. Opium was valued in China, unlike many other European products, and this caused addictions in China. In 1729, Chinese emperor outlawed opium, leading to the start of the Opium Wars. Britain won, and not in a my soccer team beat yours kind of way. It left China humiliated and devastated. Britain established ports in China. At this point, the world powers started to switch to Britain. Britain was awesome. Before long, Britain began to support tea growth in India, which was under their control at the time. The manufacturing of tea in India made it a lot cheaper for Britain, and soon began to import their tea from India rather than China. After Britain gained full control of India and started producing tea out of the Assam Company? Assam Company? Assam Company? Assam Company, which was much cheaper because new industrial machinery like the steam engine cut transportation costs, making it more convenient for Britain to import tea from India. Britain's new main supplier of tea soon became India, this including the Opium Wars, and their already weakened government destroyed China's economy! Chinese industries failed because foreign traders were much more interested in tea than food, which caused food prices to boom, as well as uprisings as a result of the discredited government by the Nanking Treaty. Treaties exempt foreigners from Chinese law, and this meant that China couldn't survive in isolation anymore. But like Voldemort, China did come back to be a world power, even though they weren't as strong as before. Oh, it's time for the open letter? Alakazam. An open letter to I'm a Little Teapot. But first, let's see what's in the secret compartment. A popsicle! Just another thing made possible by the industrialization influenced by tea. Cheyenne! Dear I'm a Little Teapot, you're not a little teapot at all. In fact, you're the reason that Britain became a superpower. Without you, not so little teapot, the Opium Wars would never have happened, and Karl Marx would never have written letters to the New York Daily Tribune about opium, which he knows nothing, zip, zero, zilch, nada about, because he's a communist! Best wishes, Melissa Bailey. Due to the pressures of outsiders, China became even more secluded and despised ideas of industrialization because outsiders were considered barbarian. Cheyenne, what is this? Ah! However, this in some ways benefited China. Everyone thought they were still the top dog, and no one attacked them until Britain exposed their weaknesses with the Opium War. And China lost its awesomeness! On the other hand, Britain had lots of positive effects because of the health benefits of the drink. It kept sickness away and lowered infant mortality rates and led to more focused workers. Ultimately, the population boom, superior technology, and economic success of Britain's tea industry led to them becoming a world-dominating power. Thanks for watching, and next week we'll be talking about the colonization of Marano Land. Crash Course Tea History is produced and directed by Cheyenne Rourke. Our script supervisor is Alexa Swan, and the show is written by Liz Cusinelli and myself. We'd like to thank our high school history teacher, Mr. Morano, and our English teacher, Mrs. Fryer. Our graphics team is Kara Mink. Thanks for watching Crash Course Tea History, and as they say in my hometown, stay classy, #YOLO swag.